Hello, Christian poker players and those who love them. Welcome to Drawing Life Poker Ministry. My name is Harvest Rich. I'm a Christian and I'm married to a Christian poker player. Today is Thursday, November 16th, and this is my In the Mission Field update for the week. Um, I think so I was having trouble this week coming up with something to share with you. And it turns out that the answer was in that very thing. So, for those of you who might not be aware yet, the mission of Drawing Life Poker Ministry is to equip Christian poker players and those who love them to share the gospel of Jesus at the table and around the world. But we also sort of have a secondary mission, or I guess maybe a heart behind the work that we're doing that we don't, promote so much. But that is to bring you along for the journey. Chris and I, if you've watched our introductory videos, you know this. Chris and I, we sold our home, quit our jobs, left family and friends, and moved from Oregon to Las Vegas, Nevada last May so that we could start this ministry. Neither of us have a background in, ministry. My husband's not a pastor. Uh, all of this is just brand new. And so the heart that we have is to share the process with you, just bring you along for that journey. And the reason we feel this is important is because we're hoping that you too will get the confidence you need and be inspired to step out in faith to the calling that God has for you. And so we're hoping that by sharing our process and I don't know, the pragmatics of policies and processes and procedures and things like that that you would be inspired, because let's face it, right? Like, in Christian circles, we're often told to just pray about something. If we have a question, we're told to pray about it. And absolutely, I agree with that. But oftentimes, short of divine revelation, we need God to send someone along and just show us how to do the thing. And so that's what we're hoping to fill, is that if you've stumbled on these in the mission fields, or if you're tuning in intentionally, um, that these can be used to help you, and that you can see that nothing about this is smooth sailing. We didn't have all of our videos pre-done and ready for release, or anything at all. We just heard God's calling on our life, prayerfully considered it for several months, could reflect back, see how the Lord's been working in our lives, moving us in this direction over several years, and just did it. And yeah, it's scary, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that later. But for today, we're going to stay upbeat and just say that we're hoping to encourage you, and hopefully you will be able to look to something, even just one thing, about how we did it, and that will make your journey that much more uh, smoother for you. So the thing that I wanted to talk about today is I didn't feel like I had anything to share this week, because Chris and I went to Lake Tahoe last week for the World Series of Poker circuit tournament, and so last week I gave an update shortly after editing What is Sin and posting that, and so I hadn't done any more editing since then. Uh, Chris has been updating about the WSOPC and and things, and so I was just kind of like feeling stuck. I'm all, ugh, I don't know what to share with you. And so, excuse me. So I talked to Chris, and I was like, what are we supposed to do when we don't have anything to share? Do we not do a video that week? Do we make something up? What does that look like? And so we kind of talked it through, and And I was sharing with him that one of the reasons I didn't feel like I had anything to do was because we had spent the week in Tahoe and, kind of just having a good time, taking our dogs out to the lake and letting them swim. And, we did a nice long drive around all of Lake Tahoe and things. And so I really didn't want that to be my message this week, how much fun I was having in Tahoe. And so we talked it through, and it occurred to me that so we talked it through and determined like there's nothing wrong at all with us sharing our like a glimpse or a window into our private lives with you. That is part of what this process is, and part of what the purpose of the weekly updates is, so that you sort of get to know us behind the scenes a little bit more. I mean, we're shooting it right here in our home and all that stuff. And so what occurred to me was the resistance wasn't so much tied to the content as the timing. I felt it was horrible timing. We had just like launched the ministry. We had only released like 3 videos, with the exception of some that Chris had been doing over the years of these in the mission field type things. But and I was like, I do not want to come out of the gates talking about drinking lattes and playing in the water in Lake Tahoe. That is not the perception that I want our viewers to have of us, or ministry supporters to have of us. And and so anyway, so what came of that though was just that, right? The realization that it wasn't so much the content, but that the timing matters. And of course, we're all free to have lives and to enjoy the beauty and wonder that God has put before us. And so that's pretty much it. There was just kind of having the question, what do you do when you have nothing to share? And then realizing, well, that may very well be the answer. Is you share, what do you do when you have nothing to share? So having said all of that, the reality for us last week was not much ministry work got done. We did, Chris did play a couple tournaments in WSOPC. Bummer, didn't go very well for him last week. He talked about that in his update, so you can watch that. Um, and then Tahoe is my husband's hometown, so we just were really intentional about setting time aside and spending quality time together when he wasn't playing poker, and having our work finished so that we could do things. So I thought I would close then with all that. I thought I would close and just share my top 5 uh, favorite things from our trip to Tahoe. Thrown in a listicle. Ugh. Okay, there we go. Top 5 things. So one of my favorite things was in the morning, because we stayed at Harvey's. In the morning, we would just get up, and we had to let our dogs out anyway. So we would get up and we'd walk over to Heavenly Village and get a cup of coffee, and then just sit there in like the open square area and people watch and let our dogs hang out, with us and stuff. And we would sit there for like an hour or so, and it literally was heavenly. It was just, most days the sun was just shining, the sky was clear, but it was cold, like when it starts to be cold if you're from a colder climate in the fall. So for me, perfect weather. It was just so great. So I really enjoyed doing our people watching every morning with my husband and our dogs. Um, we tried 3 new business establishments that we hadn't been to before. Um, one of those, oh no, I knew I would forget the name. I should have written it down. Um, I can't remember it, but it's like the greatest bakery or great, I don't know, I can figure it out, maybe put it in the description for you. But no lie, they were by far one of the best bakeries I've ever eaten at. I'm a pastry person. People talk about cake or pie or something like that. I like I like a good buttery pastry, and they made a cheese Danish that was just to die for. And Chris had like a almond, walnut apple thing with powdered sugar on it and stuff. Oh, they were both just so good. So that there was another little coffee shop called Cup of Tahoe, and they make the best London fogs uh, that I've ever had. I really do like a good London fog in the fall, and I do think so. If anybody from either of those seems to be watching, I wish those owners would collaborate because I think the baked goods from the one and the coffee and the tea from the other, they should just combine forces. They're just right across the street from each other anyway. Why be competitive? Just join forces and make it a one-stop shop. They probably won't do that, and that might not make good business sense, but it would make very much convenience sense for me. Okay, anyway, so the third thing was we did have an encounter with a gentleman when we were in Cup of Tahoe one day. We had some really good conversation around our faith and some reflective reflections that I've had since then. I think are going to make it into a future from the rail. So talk a little bit about that, about what we can learn after fumbling and stumbling through awkward Christian conversations out in public, and hopefully help us do better in the future. And what types of things to kind of have in your head when you're taken off guard and those conversations just happen. The fourth thing was we did take our dogs and we did do the drive, the loop around the lake of the Lake of Tahoe, around Lake Tahoe, and it was, of course, just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. The water, I can't get over how many shades of beautiful blue that water has. And then finally, the weather. If I haven't said it enough, that mountain air. Oh, I want to bottle that. So that's it. And I guess until next time, may God bless you and those you love. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.